please receive our young people as they come.
Good afternoon. My name is Eureka St. Flora, and I am honored to be here this afternoon in the presence of greatness. But please, get up on your feet. Let's give it up for your very own senior pastor, Bishop Victor T. Curry. If it wasn't for Bishop, this would not be possible. If I start speaking on behalf of Bishop, it will take me at least a decade. Let's get back for the reason why I'm here. June 6, 2011, the former New York Giants player accidentally shot himself in the leg with a .40 caliber semi-automatic. He got 2 years in prison. May 11, 2012, a Florida woman fired a warning shot in an effort to scare off her abusive husband. She got not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 20 years in prison. Here's the story I've been chatting about lately, and it's still going on until today. February 26, 2012, a white male shot and killed an unarmed black teenager from walking back home with Skittles and a soda. He got to go home. Last time I read a book about self-defense, in order to defend yourself as self-defense, you would have to be the one who had been attacking, not the attacker. Knowing the history of this country, the verdict did not surprise me at all. I even predict the outcome of the verdict before it happened. There's something wrong with our justice system. It needs to be fixed. By the way, I am Travon Martin. This brings me to my second speech. Before the case about Travon Martin, my dad never talked to my brother and I about race. Every time race came up, my dad often changed the conversation. I think my dad lived in a denial world, because he told us we're all brothers and sisters who happen to be different colors, just like Skittles. I told my dad if an ideal man happened to have no eyes, therefore C would not be a part of the conversation. Without struggle, there's no progress. Frederick Douglass, 1857. Black Reconstruction in America, W.E.B. Du Bois, 1903. I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr., 1963. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi reformed the governments of 3 nations and inspired a global network. Last but not least, Operation Lemonade to get voters to the polls early. Bishop Victor T. Curry. 2012. There's one more thing I would like to add before I leave. I'm sorry my dad couldn't be here today. He had to go to work. Thank you. May God bless you all.
Good afternoon, Universe. My name is Fabiola G. Baptiste. Why couldn't Travon Martin stand his ground and have the right? These questions can only be answered by one person, our God. Yes, we may be hurt and angry for the events that have occurred, but God said He will mend our broken hearts. Yes, we may have lost this battle, but we will not lose this war. But God is a man that He may not lie. He will not leave us nor forsake us. He says, "For I know the thoughts that I have for you, thoughts of good and not of evil, to give you an expected end." Travon Martin will always be remembered, not as a victim, but as a leader, to give us a revolution that we will never forget to move on forward. Thank you. Morning, Newberg. I know, like everyone knows, I was very shocked by the verdict. I was more so surprised and hurt because a killer got to walk away free while a mother and a father had to go home with broken hearts. He smiled after the verdict was read like, oh, I got away with it. They didn't do anything about it. The law's on my side. Why couldn't the law be on Travon's side? All he did was walk home. I walk home from school every day. People walk home. People walk everywhere. But as this boy was walking home, like Fabiola said, he was profiled and stalked, basically. I don't think he was followed. He was stalked, in my opinion. I feel as though us as the young generation that's coming up right now, the anger that we have towards the situation, we should use it in a positive light. We need to live above what they say, what they think that we are going to do with the shooting and the violence. I feel as though we all just need to come together as one, because although, yes, he was an African-American teen, he was still a boy. He was a boy regardless, nonetheless, of the situation. My feelings are really hurt, and my prayers go out to his family, because I can only imagine, I mean, the look on his mother's face every time they show her.
Amen.
She has such a sad look on her face, but I know, just like Al Sharpton said, sometimes God has to knock you down in order for you to see his plans for you. So he's going to use this trial to probably show us something new. Well, he is going to show us something new. He's going to show us his plans for us. So we all just, need to pray and come to God for our answers, because at the end of the day, God has the final verdict. Amen.
Now, for me, what I'm thinking is, what can I say that hasn't already been said by these two young ladies and basically everyone in society? A 17-year-old boy, Travon Martin, was killed due to racial profiling, and just because the idea of another man that he was a criminal due to other people that looked like him. What I want to just to come from my heart is that the day that the verdict was reached, July the 13th, a lot of people in this country, they were shocked, they were appalled, they felt in their hearts like the justice system failed them, ultimately. Well, the day of the case, like the other young lady, the 8-year-old stated, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. I predicted this outcome 3 or 4 days before the case even happened. You can ask my mother for proof. I told her day in and day out, Zimmerman's going to walk away free with this. Why? Because this is the first time the justice system failed its people, specifically minorities. It's happened time and time again, and we shouldn't be surprised about what has actually occurred here. If you reach into the past, you can find out that a young man by the name of Emmett Till, he was killed because of allegedly talking or whistling or fraternizing with a white woman. Now, what didn't shock me was not the fact that they kidnapped him and murdered him. This was in the 1950s. Of course, in those time periods, racism and racial segregation and all these things was running rampant through the streets. The problem that bothered me was the 2 white men that they brought into court for the whole case, they were acquitted, just like Zimmerman was acquitted now. They were free, and a couple days later, they admitted that they murdered Emmett Till to a newspaper article. Now we're back here, in the current time, in the modern day, in the future. The same thing is still occurring. Just a couple years later, different situation, different people, same result. And what a lot of people have also forgotten, that this is not even the most current case of the Stand Your Ground law. A young man by the name of Jordan Davis was in a car listening to music where a white man told him, hey, turn it down. They had a verbal altercation, and the guy in the car thought they were reaching for a weapon. He shot them 9 times, not once or twice, to stop him. 9 times. Jordan died because of a self-defense claim. First of all, there was no weapon in the car. So I don't know what the guy probably thought or saw, or maybe, it was in his mind that this young man, Jordan Davis, and his friends, hey, they're African American, they're reaching down, they must be pulling out a weapon. Like, that's all, that's all that we do, that's all that we are. But I'm here to tell you today, New Birth and people and everyone who's listening through Streaming of Faith and anything like that, we must understand that this is not the first time this has occurred. We must not allow this tragedy to provoke violence from within us, to provoke actions that they expect from us. They expect us to loot through the streets and attack others and become violent towards one another. What we must do, not as just African Americans, but as people all together, we must come together to stand up, to make a difference, to make a change, like what they did in the past after the Emmett Till case was decided. They came together as a movement, as an African American movement, and protested peacefully. We must do that today, not for our sake, not for Travon Martin's sake, but for the future generations. We can't let this continue to happen day in and day out. And we must also remember, keep this in your hearts, that no matter what people may say, no matter what I may say, no matter what anyone may say, God has the final verdict. Not the jurors, not the judge, not the government, and surely not the president. God. Remember that, New Birth. Take that in your hearts, and let's make a stand to make a difference.